Welcome friends to the 2024 Genesis G70. This is the fully loaded V6 all-wheel drive Prestige model. But first, let's go ahead and let's talk about what's new for the 2024 model year. Pretty much all of your updates are for the 4-cylinder model. So we have the 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder now producing 300 horsepower and 311 pounds-feet of torque. So that's your big new update. And along with that, they are giving us the Brembo 4-piston brakes as standard across the board. And for 2025, the only new change is the addition of a brand new blue exterior color. But regardless, let's talk about the exterior of the car that we are driving here. This is a sharp looking ride. I am a huge fan of the exterior looks with the headlights, the taillights. That side profile has a sporty appearance to it. And no matter which model you go with, you will be getting 19-inch wheels. But these are the sport design wheels. Even the base model G70 has some handsome looking 19-inch wheels as well. And the color here, we have the Bond Silver. I'm sure that's a play on James Bond, but whatever. This is a gorgeous matte metallic color. But as nice as this looks, this is a $1,500 option, so I would personally skip this color choice, but it is really nice. Fortunately, you have a bunch of other great colors to choose from for $650, like green, blue, red, all kinds of beautiful color choices with the G70. And I believe there's 1 or 2 free colors that you can choose from as well. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding the way this G70 looks. I'm personally a huge fan of how all of these Genesis vehicles look. They have so much swagger and presence when they roll down the road. People are definitely taking notice to this car. So with that established, let's go ahead and let's talk about my driving impressions now. One of the biggest highlights with these vehicles is certainly the engine. That twin turbo V6 with 365 horsepower, 376 pounds-feet of torque. I feel like this is a pretty underrated engine. It might be making more power than what they are quoting on paper. I think Car and Driver, they tested this thing to do 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds, so pretty much in line with the competition, but it feels really quick when you're behind the wheel. It's good that this car feels quick, but the rear-wheel drive models feel even quicker. You have more of a sensation of thrust with the rear-wheel drive cars. And the reason for that is because the rear-wheel drive models, they come standard with summer tires, really sticky summer tires. There's no issues with putting power down. When you do launch control in a rear-wheel drive G70 or a Stinger, there is no tire squeal. It's putting down all of its power. So there is no traction advantage in the dry with the all-wheel drive model. Personally, I would skip the all-wheel drive if you don't need it, right? But obviously, if you live in a place that has inclement weather, then for sure, get the all-wheel drive. But for those of you who can get away with owning the rear-wheel drive, it's certainly the way to go, because I've noticed the all-wheel drive, it just drives and handles a little bit more clumsy than the rear-wheel drive counterparts. There seems to be a lack of cohesion here with the way this car is putting its power down and the way it's shuffling power. I don't know what it is exactly, but I do have some other reasons for wanting to avoid the all-wheel drive system. It does add weight, of course, right? It's about 146 pounds that the all-wheel drive system is adding here. And this fully loaded top-of-the-line G70 with the V6, the all-wheel drive, all the options, it's a little over 4,000 pounds in weight. And the reason why I bring this up is because this car can handle and ride so much better if you skip the weight and if you skip the complexity. So initially when I got this test car, I checked the tire pressure. It was at 38 in the front and 36 in the rear. I wanted to double check this because I noticed this car was riding a little stiff, and initially I thought, oh, if I air down the tires, the car will ride a little bit better. But the reality is I checked the door jams, and Genesis recommends that the tire pressure should be 38 in the front and 36 in the rear. So this is just naturally kind of a stiffer car, the way they have it set up. So I did not bother to air down the tires. It was already at the factory setting. This vehicle just has a tendency of transmitting all of the smaller bumps into the cabin. You kind of feel it creep up into the bottom seat cushions here. Some of you might say that, oh, it's just being a communicative sports sedan, but that's not really the case. This is kind of a unnecessary feeling that I'm getting out of this car. I don't need to feel those little bumps. And with these prestige models, you do get the adaptive dampers. However, I had it in Comfort, I had it in Sport, Sport Plus. It makes no difference. The car rides pretty much exactly the same no matter what mode I put it into. I recently got done testing a Acura TLX Type S. I was really high on that car because that vehicle, when you switched the drive modes, it made a genuine difference in the way that car performed. You put that thing into Comfort and it would ride like a Lexus. You put it into Sport Plus and the TLX Type S would feel like a proper sports sedan, very sharp. Here I have it in the Sport Plus right now for you. I mean, as I mentioned, you are flying in this car. The speed is not an issue, right? You're reaching triple-digit speeds in no time. So that's what's important to most people, right? Just merging onto the highway and just blitzing past traffic, right? This car does that brilliantly with the V6. And this is Hyundai's own 8-speed transmission. The paddle shifters in Sport Plus respond beautifully. I love the way Sport Plus and the paddle shifters feel. It will auto upshift, but that's okay. The Brembo brakes, that feels good. Like, you have good stopping power here, however, it's not a over boosted brake pedal. Feels natural and progressive. Yeah, you have those crispy rev match downshifts here. I mean, it responds very similar to the 8-speed CF transmissions that everybody raves about. But that's enough of that. I just put this thing into either custom mode or comfort mode. Either one of those is fine. That does satisfy me on a daily commute. I will say the only real con with this is, no matter what mode you have this car in, when you initially get on the throttle, there's kind of a lag, and then you get all this thrust. So it's not a linear power delivery. You kind of get the surge of boost a little bit after you get on the throttle. So that's the only con with this drivetrain. Otherwise, it's brilliant. But yeah, the main reason you want to flip that switch into Sport Plus is not to get a firmer ride quality, but it's to really unlock the drivetrain. The engine sounds a lot more lively. With these prestige models, you do get the variable exhaust system as well. And Genesis claims that variable exhaust system will add 3 horsepower to the car, which, okay, but no, this is the best sounding iteration of the twin turbo V6 that I've ever listened to. You have a nice growl here. The engine has a premium engine note to it, so I do appreciate listening to this, and it's not annoying in any way. There's no drone with it, so that's brilliant. But the only improvement I want to see is better suspension tuning, especially with these electronic dampers. I want Comfort to actually have a more comfortable ride quality. That would be great to see. The steering feels good in pretty much all the modes. Yes, the steering does get heavier in Sport, however, it still feels natural and it does feel communicative. But yeah, let's go back to talking about some of the refinement aspects now. I already talked about how comfort mode doesn't make a huge difference here, so that's kind of why I recommend going with the rear-wheel drive models to get you a more cohesive and more linear driving experience, right? You get lighter weight, you don't have the drivetrain loss that you get with the all-wheel drive models, and less weight means that this will handle even better and it'll ride better, and we will also get better fuel economy as well. And you're also going to save about $2,000 because that's exactly what the all-wheel drive costs to add on to these G70s. And another thing, you will also get a tighter turning radius as well, so you can bust U-turns a little bit tighter with the rear-wheel drive models. Again, it's simply going to be a cleaner driving experience. Now, we do have double pane glass here on the sides for the front, and this is a very quiet machine. There's really not a whole lot of wind noise here, even at the highway speeds. You do get some more road noise coming from the bottom out on the highway, but it's really not bad for what this is. And one aspect of driving the G70 that I absolutely love is just how hefty this thing feels when it's rolling down the road. And this heavy sensation that this car has is further amplified with the other Genesis products. Like when you get the G80 or the SUV products, all those other machines that Genesis produces, they all double down on luxury. Because the G70 is kind of this in-between car where it's trying to do luxury and trying to do sport all at the same time, this car begins to express some compromises, like you begin to have that firmer ride. And the reality is some of the competing products do the Jekyll and Hyde thing a lot better than this. For instance, that TLX Type S, the Audi S4, Audi S5, those types of cars, they marry together the performance and the comfort, the refinement, a little bit better, I feel like, than the G70, because at the end of the day, this car, it's essentially a cost-cut version of the G80 sedan. So when you go ahead and get the G80 sedan, what you're actually purchasing is a vehicle that's doubled down on what Genesis does best, which is luxury, and you get this hefty sensation. And that's why I'm more so a fan of the other Genesis vehicles that they have to sell. They feel more focused than the G70, but this certainly isn't bad. And for the right person, you're absolutely going to love living with this car if you can understand the compromises that this car has to come with, and if you purchase it the right way, because you can potentially lease this car for way less than the competition. I'll talk more about that towards the end of this video, but for right now, wrapping up this drive, another way you can save some weight with this car is by going with the 4-cylinder model. And for 2024, this is a great year to opt for the 4-cylinder, especially if you are financing or paying cash for this car. It really makes sense to get the 4-cylinder. It's about 65 horsepower less and 65 pounds-feet of torque less than the V6, so it's still really quick, and a rear-wheel drive version is going to weigh between 36 to 3,700 pounds for that 4-cylinder. You can get the Prestige model if you want with the 4-cylinder, because you can get the excellent Lexicon audio system. I'll be talking more about that during the interior segment, but yeah, I would maybe opt for the Prestige model on the 4-cylinders. With the V6 models, I would probably stick with the advanced rear-wheel drive just to save some money, because with the V6, they give you the Lexicon audio as standard. The other advantage with the 4-bangers is you will be getting slightly better fuel economy as well. And fuel economy is where the European rivals excel at. They perform way better in terms of real-world fuel economy. You can easily meet and exceed the numbers that they have to offer, whereas the G70, the Acura models, yeah, you're pretty much getting exactly what they have quoted on the sticker, maybe even 1 or 2 mpg worse if you're driving it a little bit harder. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's move on to the interior space, because that is another huge highlight with the G70. Yeah, this interior space is easily the best in its class. This is so exquisite. I get it, this is the fully loaded model with the Napa leather seats, with the diamond quilted stitching, the suede headliner, but still, it's also the solidity that you also appreciate with these cars. Yes, they do use some hard touch plastics towards the bottom, but this is still the best effort possible for this class and for this price point. You really feel like you're sitting in a 6-figure automobile when you are inside of this car. So if you value interior and features, you will love the G70, because all of the tech in here works great. I love the 10.25-inch infotainment display. It is a touchscreen. All the safety tech, that pretty much comes as standard, although if you go with the base 4-cylinder, I think it's missing some parking sensors. But other than that, all the safety tech comes standard, and it works great. It's not annoying. There's not a huge learning curve here. You can pretty much get in here and understand how everything works, and you're able to utilize all the features right away. However, the only thing you're missing here is the wireless Apple CarPlay and the wireless Android Auto. I used to complain about this a lot, but I have noticed one thing. Just because certain automakers offer you wireless CarPlay and stuff, that doesn't mean that it always works perfectly. Usually you're going to experience some glitches with certain manufacturers when you utilize the wireless CarPlays and such. You will get a more reliable connection when you use the wire. That's something to keep in mind. BMW though, they have some of the best wireless CarPlay tech. There is no glitches, there is no mishaps with the BMW wireless, but some of these other brands, you will notice some issues. So using the wire, it's not the worst thing in the world. You do have a wireless charging pad here, and the HVAC controls, it is separated from the screen. However, they've gotten rid of those physical dials that they once had, and we have this touchscreen at the bottom for your HVAC controls. And you know what? I'm not completely mad at it. It works really well. There's no crazy reflections with it. We have the heated and cooled seats here with this model. A lot of people, they ask me, hey bro, which car has the best cooled seats? Genesis is one of them. You turn on the cooled seats, it works really well in here. Now, the Lexicon audio system, man, if you love your music, this is brilliant. Easily one of the best audio systems for this class, along with the Acura ELS system. That was amazing as well. But yeah, this Lexicon, it is worth getting. And that's why I mentioned if you're gonna go with the 4-cylinder model, pay the extra $4,200, get the Prestige 4-cylinder so you can access the Lexicon audio. The base audio system is produced by a company named Mobis, so if you know more about them, leave a comment below telling us more about that brand. But yeah, the Lexicon unit by Harman Kardon is amazing. The seats in here are also really comfortable. It could use a little bit more lumbar support, but for the most part, it's fine. You do have one-touch up and down windows for all 4 windows. And as mentioned before, you do have the thicker double pane glass in the front. Pretty much no wind noise with this car. And we also have a good-sized sunroof here as well. The center armrest space is okay. However, the rear seats are really rather constricted. You don't have much space back there. And space in general is going to be a con with the G70, especially compared to its rivals. The legroom isn't the best, and overall, there's not much width in this cabin either. So if you're constantly going to be transporting people in this, it's just something to keep in mind. However, I will say this, if you like that more snug cockpit-like feel, you might like the G70. You feel really connected with this car, with this driving position that Genesis has to offer in this car. So for some of you, this might be a pro, but yeah, the rear seat legroom, that would have been nice if it was a little bit larger. And you don't have any heated seats back there, even with the Prestige model, and you just get some vents back there. However, the good news is you are able to fold down those rear seats. And this is great because the trunk isn't that large. I think it's like 10.5 cubic feet. So it really helps that you're able to fold down the rear seats. And the other good thing is if you lift up that flap in the trunk, you do have a spare tire with this car, which is cool. So yeah, wrapping up the interior, this is easily my most favorite interior space in the class. It's just so exquisite. It's giving off 6-figure car vibes when you sit in here, and you have a brilliant audio system as well. And all the features in here work great, and it's all easy to understand. So with that established, let's go ahead and let's conclude. All right, concluding thoughts on the G70 sedan. So I am a fan, but just make sure you get it in the right spec. And for once, getting the 4-cylinder might be a good option as well. That's another way you can save some weight with this car, especially off the nose. But the reality is, competitors like Audi and the Acura TLX Type S, they do the Jekyll and Hyde performance and comfort thing a lot better than Genesis. I didn't really talk too much about BMW here, but I am a fan of BMW. It's just that they also ride a little too stiff. And if you're interested in a BMW, do pretty much the same things that I talked about here with this G70. Maybe skip out on the all-wheel drive if you don't need it. Get the smallest wheels possible. And with the BMW, consider getting the adaptive dampers. It makes more of a difference with those cars. So if you like BMW, go ahead, get that. If you like Audi, if you like the Type S, get any of these cars. None of them are really bad. It's just they all have to offer something unique, and it just depends on your personal preferences. Like if you want a ultra razor sharp driving experience, BMW offers that. Granted, at the expense of some ride comfort, and they also have some weird synthetic steering, so that might not be for everyone. But at least BMW has been fruitful with their mission regarding handling with their stiff ride quality. Here with the G70, despite it riding a little bit stiffer, there is no real handling improvements here compared to the competition. That's why I would personally like to see them providing us with more higher quality adaptive dampers similar to the Type S, because that TLX Type S, I'm telling you, that car fulfills the fantasy that most people have regarding the drive mode selectors. You know, comfort feels like a Lexus, Sport Plus feels razor sharp. The Audis, they also do a good job blending together performance and comfort. And pretty much all of these cars are going to be really safe in a crash test. The Genesis also was a IIHS top safety pick back in 2022. I don't think this car got reevaluated in 24 yet. However, I'm sure this will continue to be an amazing performing car in terms of a crash test, and also the headlight performance is amazing with these Genesis cars as well. So a lot of advantages there. And as mentioned before, interior space is exquisite, all the technology works. And another big advantage that Genesis has to offer is the potentially great deals that can be had. So in the description box of this video, I'm going to have a free leasing calculator provided to you by AutoCompanion. This is a powerful tool because it shows you the residual values of a lease along with the interest rate and the incentives that you can qualify for in your local area. These are luxury cars. These things tank in value, so it's up to you to do your own due diligence. Use websites like Car Gurus, find the vehicle that's been sitting on the lot the longest, reach out to the general manager of the Genesis dealership that you are interested in, and ask for a 10% discount. See what they have to say. But assuming you get that discount and assuming you did your research, you found the incentives that you qualify for, if you lease these cars as of May 2024, there is like a $4,000 lease incentive as well. So a lot of savings there. The interest rate on the lease as of right now is like over 6%. So that's not great. But with the dealer discounts, with the incentives, the payments are easily undercutting the competition. The BMWs and the Audis, they're going to be in the $700-800 a month range, maybe even $900. The TLX Type S, there's pretty much no discounts with that, and the lease programs are pretty terrible. A Type S is going to lease for like $1,000 a month. And surprisingly, for whatever reason, the V6 version of the G70 leases out better than the 4-cylinder model. So get the 4-cylinder if you're going to be financing or paying cash. And you can go on Genesis's own website to see if there's any promotional finance rates as well, because all of these things, they change every month. So if you're watching this video in the future, the lease programs are going to change, but fortunately, AutoCompanion's calculator will update every month, so you don't have to worry about that. Use that as a free resource, keep up with the deals, and hopefully you appreciated this video and these resources. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're a Genesis owner, let us know how it's been holding up for you. The other good thing is we do have the best warranty in the luxury car game, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty here. So if you want to finance or pay cash for this car and keep it for, close to 10 years, you can absolutely do that now. Obviously, your electronics and things, they won't be covered that long. I personally do still recommend leasing and dumping these vehicles, but it's nice to know if you wanted to keep this more long-term, you can. And Genesis also offers 3 years of free maintenance as well. And just be sure to find a good, high-quality Genesis dealership to work with. And if you have any more questions and concerns, leave them down below. But thank you so much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye.